All right. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for your grace. Let me know where you're watching from this evening and what you're doing, how you feeling on this Thursday. I hope you're feeling good. Give me some feeling words in the chat, y'all. I need to know how you're feeling. All right. Thank you for your grace. Thank you for your grace. Let me know where you're watching from this evening and what you're doing, how you feeling on this Thursday. I hope you're feeling good. Give me some feeling. All right, there we go. All right, now we all the way good. Where are you watching from? Thank you for the great star. Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Let me know. And as we get ready to move forward tonight, if you I know a couple people just came in the room. I just want to again set the tone by saying that this is a safe space. Tonight's title for our conversation is simply, how do you know if you're growing or if you're just settling in your relationship? You're just settling. How do you know? How do you know? How do you know? And I'm curious as to how many people really have a sense of what this looks like to be settling. All right, Philly in the house. I know you can represent, and have a real clear sense of it versus really being confused. I want to know how many of you feel like I have clarity about. I know, like some people on tonight may be on because you're like, dang, I know I'm settling. And I already know it, but I'm just here because I'm just trying to see what God is going to share because I already know it. And some people are in like, I think I'm growing, I think so, but sometimes I be confused. And how many people are just, I don't know, I have no idea. I want to know what y'all think. Y'all got to drop it in the chat. The focus tonight again is how do I know if I am growing or if I'm just settling in my relationship? Ain't nobody. Okay, I see some mixed feelings about it. Mixed feelings. What else? Okay. All right. Keita says, I know. I just want to know. I want to know who's in the room. Do you know? Or you're just confused. You have no sense of it. All right. Some folks, okay. I see some more I knows. Okay. All right. Well, we're going to talk about it and we're going to get into it tonight because in so many ways, I see this dynamic, y'all, in this work that I have done with my husband, that I do with women, where you all are walking down paths that are supposed to get you somewhere, and for whatever reason, uh, people stop at a particular place in the path, at a particular place in your trajectory where you're supposed to perhaps go a little to the left, go a little to the right, get down on your knees and pray, whatever you're supposed to do. And instead of doing that, you just stay in the same place. We stay in the same place, and it is disguised in a lot of ways because it may look like we are moving, it may feel like it. Anybody know about this? No judgment. Remember, we said this is a safe space, but anybody said this to yourself? And this is a thing to say. But I want to know if this is you said this at all ever. Type a one in the chat because I hear this a lot. But also, folks who are settling oftentimes say this and don't realize the time to do that has expired in some way. They need to make a shift, and there needs to be some evidence that they're doing it. I'm like, what are you talking about, Giannis? Can you say it already? And what that is I'm just gonna focus on me. If you've said it before, I'm just focusing on me. Type a one in the chat. I'm just focusing on me. I'm just working on me. Oh my goodness, all the ones in the chat. I'm focusing on me. So anytime I hear a sister say that, they come to see me, I say, I wonder where she is in the focus on me continuum. Focusing on self is so important. Relationship work is personal work. We have to do it. But then we get into God didn't tell me to move. I'm still focusing on me. I'm focusing on me. And we look up and look around, and there should be fruit. There should be evidence that you're working on you. There should be some boundaries set, perhaps. There should be some conversations that should have been had. There should be some evidence of that, not because you're getting your partner together, but because you are showing up in a certain way. And that ain't always the case. So it is oftentimes I'm seeing this dynamic with women where women get stuck. They get stuck. They get stuck. Somebody typed the word stuck. We want to cast that word out tonight. We want to release that tonight. If you don't get anything else tonight other than I am releasing, throwing away, pushing away stuckness. I refuse to be stuck because being stuck is a choice. It is a choice. It is a choice. So I want to get into this some more, but I just wanted to see who I was in the room with. For anybody who's a guest tonight who is not familiar with me, I am Iyanna Ma'at. I am one half of the team. It's a whole lot of glare going on in my glasses. Y'all see my window outside? Lord have mercy. But I'm one half of that dynamic duo that is me and my husband, Ayise, and Iyanna. I'm Iyanna. And I am a coach, a therapist, a mentor, a sister, a mother, a wife. I'm on my purpose, doing what God has called me to do. And my job and my goal is always to release other people into what it is they're supposed to do in any shape, form, or fashion, in your relationship, in your purpose walk, in your relationship with God or your relationship with self. If I have pushed you or just gently nudged you to think about things differently, to reframe what you're dealing with in your life or in your situation in any way, if I have done that, then I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. So that is the goal for tonight. That's my intention tonight, for you to think about your relationship not only with your partner or the one that may be coming to you, because you may not yet be partnered up, but you're like, I want to know, because I feel like I be in relationships where the settling be happening all the time. Whatever it is, I want you to think about your relationship yourself, with yourself as well. Okay. All right. So let me bring up my notes. And I'm going to talk to you. We're going to have a conversation. So I do want y'all to talk back. I don't want to just be talking to myself the whole time. Okay. All right. So let's first just talk about what settling looks like right out the gate. We're going to talk about what settling looks like, and what it feels like. The first thing I want to say is that settling automatically attracts confusion. So many people say, well, I'm confused. It automatically attracts confusion because your highest self, your God self, you know, your intuition, your gut, you know what you know what you feel, you know what you're experiencing, you know what is satisfactory and what is not satisfactory in your relationship, in your life, just as a woman, as a person, right? But when we are settling and we come outside of what is our baseline expectation, we come outside of what we know was honorable and true. Not that we're looking for perfection from our partners or from other people, but we know, like, wait a minute, like I have really, extended myself time and time again. I've asked my partner to be more present. I've said it in every which way, and they just nod, but nothing changes. We on year 7 now, right? And then you go back into, once you get that clarity, you go back into, well, I do. Anybody know about this? I do know, him and his mama wasn't really there for him, so he got issues with, women, and I know he's still learning to trust. But, you go all into that narrative. You know what I mean? So it automatically attracts confusion because you get clear and then you move away from the clarity. You get clear, you move away from the clarity. Your God self, your highest self, God won't let you just stay confused. You get clear, and God is saying, I'm speaking to you. I'm sharing with you. I'm showing you what is not okay. And then we get confused again. It attracts confusion when we're in an unsettled state, because in order to be able to shift and to move, you have to stay clear. If you do not stay clear, then you must be confused, because that allows you to stay in a settling situation. Okay. So I want you to know that right off the top. You're lying in the bed next to somebody. Let me just give you some examples, not just to somebody, your husband, your partner. You lying in the bed next to them, and you have these awarenesses at different times along the way that you feel really alone. I just want to know if anybody knows what I'm talking about. I feel so alone. I feel completely alone in this relationship, and yet we are together a lot of the time. You are the one perhaps initiating the conversations, the hard conversations, and there is no engagement, or the engagement is full of resistance, and you ain't really making no progress. Settling, settling, settling. Been doing this for years. Now, here's the thing. I've said this to plenty of people. Lots of women come to me and say, I'm just really sick and tired of being the one leading all the time. If I'm coming down your street, if I'm talking to you and you like, girl, you all up and down my street, just let me know I'm talking to the right person. I'm sick and tired of being the one to find the program, to say this is happening tonight, to send the link, to say, did you get the email that I sent? Are we going to talk about it? I'm sick and tired of being that person. And what I say oftentimes, I understand. And you do want a partner who's going to level up and meet you in some way. But sometimes you got to be able to have some level of awareness about where the leveling up is happening. And you got to be able to have some insight and some compassion and some ability to have perspective in the process. So you might be the one. I'm saying all this to say you might be the one who's leading in a lot of ways, because women, y'all, sometimes we just don't understand it. Men they don't even have the capacity. Somebody type capacity. They don't have the capacity to hold as much in their brains as we hold. They don't have the capacity to think about what happened last year and how we still dealing with this. And on the day before yesterday, you said this, and then you still haven't addressed the thing from 2 weeks ago, and then connect that back to, and I know if you just address this thing with your mama, then we be able, they don't have they are not wired that way. So it is actually natural that women are oftentimes bringing the issues. We're bringing the concerns. It doesn't mean that we're supposed to do all of it, but I'm saying that to give you some reference point. But my question is, are they meeting you there? When you bring up the concerns, when you bring up the issues, are they meeting you there in some way, shape, or form? Are they able to say, I can't talk about it right now, but let's come back to it? Or is it just a never-ending merry-go-round? I talk to so many people that say, I've been in a marriage for 15 years and I've heard my husband say, I love you 2 times. The day we got married and the day I had our child. That's it. 2 times. And I said, I don't, I'm not okay with this loveless marriage, right? And so then he gets heated and all of that. So then you start to avoid certain conversations because you know it's going to turn into tension. It's going to turn into,
Mhm.
you ain't trying to go there. How many people ain't trying to go there? Or you keep going there, you just tired of going there. Tired, because it don't get you nowhere. It doesn't get you anywhere. And so you fantasize about peace, having peace of mind. Your fantasies at work and during the day and on the weekends are about peace of mind and being able to have clarity, right? You catch yourself saying when you start to get into that place, well, it's not that bad. I mean, he's a good husband. He does provide. He pays the bills. You know, we have good family vacations, but you skipping over the fact that y'all ain't really partnered up. Y'all really like roommates. And so oftentimes you feel like you're playing the role of wife or even husband. You're playing the role of a partner, but you are not seen for who you are. You're not seen as a woman, not seen as a man. You're not seen for who you are. And so there's a low grade sadness that enters into the lives of folks who are settling. There's a disappointment that really never goes away. You feel invisible. But get this, not just to your partner, but to yourself. That, 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 down. Not just to your partner, but to yourself. Because you start to forget, what is it that I want in the first place? What is it that I thought we was gonna be doing? What did I think this marriage was gonna be about? What does happiness really look like? Because you're so distracted with work and with kids and with all the things. And I'm telling you that if you're here tonight and something about this subject matter, this piece around not feeling as though you are fully really in this marriage and can say for sure, I know I'm growing. I know I'm not settling. I know we're going to be okay. If something attracted you here, then you've got to do something different, because it is not healthy to convince yourself that you should be grateful over top of having real crystal clear clarity. God, and I'm speak on this thing. God wants us to have crystal clear clarity about what's happening in our lives and what we feel so that we can then develop and cultivate the right response. This ain't about convincing anybody that you need to not be in your relationship or you need to leave. This is about clarity. Somebody type clarity in the chat. Because if you don't know what settling looks like, you'll wake up a few years from now, a decade from now, and you will just be getting clear and like, oh my Lord, I've been sitting here. You know, you ever done something? Thank you for all the clarities. You ever done something? I should have did that a long time ago. You know, so for many folks, you should have got clear a long time ago. And we are afraid oftentimes, I say this a lot, to get clear. Because if we get clear, we think that means we have to do something right now. Oh, I'm clear. This ain't it. This is not the way it's supposed to be. And I have really been delusional for the last few years, and I don't want to live like this. So that means I got to solve it right now. No, that's not how the real world works. That's not how real life works. So when people jump to stuff like that, that ain't that's gonna backfire anyway. But you can't really start to construct a new path for yourself and figure out where the disconnect is um, if you are in a place where you refuse to get clear. And so tonight we're going to talk about this, and we're going to talk about why it is that not only people are stuck in settling and how to know this in a deeper way, or if you're growing, because a lot of folks are growing. Let me just say something about that. A lot of folks are growing individually and together in their relationships. And some of y'all so pressed. Somebody type pressed in the chat. Some of y'all so pressed, you're like, but are we growing enough? Are we growing fast enough, deep enough? You won't even allow yourself to get the win and let your partner get the win because you on to the next task. Your partner look at you like, damn, can we just relax for a minute? Here you go with another thing for us to do. You know what I'm saying? Some more insight to get. Just chill for a second. Relax for a minute. And you know, there are those of us, right? You know, I'm one of those people who are really growth minded. We really want to, you know, grow and have the insight and hear from God. And we're fascinated by the psychology of how things work. And we look at ourselves and, you know, anybody like me, like if it's a quiz, like find out if you're this or that. I'm like, oh, let me take the quiz. What am I? You know, I want to know about myself. So I understand that, but there's a difference between being curious and being inquisitive and wanting to be the best you and actually being a consumer of information and the consumption of the information, the consumption of the principles, the consumption and the activity of getting to the thing, signing up for the thing and being on the thing and reading about it. It actually is the okey doke because you don't actually ever do the work. You don't actually ever have the conversations that need to be had. You never actually do the mirror work and look at yourself in the mirror and say, what is it that I need to say to myself? Where do I need to speak life to myself? You never sit down and learn how to meditate for a few moments, just for a few minutes. You never actually do it because you're always collecting the information. You're learning all about the things. Some folks show up in my sessions and they can tell me all the steps of imago dialogue. And they can talk about and say, you know, I know that my love language is this and that his love language is that. They do all of that. They tell me all of this. They know all about their attachment style and their partner's attachment style. I'm not coming down anybody's lane. They know all about it. But when it comes time for us to talk about, so when this happened, what did you say? And then what did he say? Because that's how I do. Some folks kind of come and they say, you know, they talk all up here. No, let's get into the nitty gritty. And then what happened? Let's break this thing down. Let's be able to look at the trigger and then what happened and then what did you feel? And then how did you breathe? And then what your face do? Right? Like we got to get into it like that. And none of that work is happening. None of that work is happening, but it sounds good. It sounds good. And so we got to pay attention, y'all, to being too pressed, right? And we don't even recognize that we are growing. So tonight, before we end, you will know whether you are growing or whether you are settling. And this is not about, I say this, okay, let me just give it this example, because I do think that I think some people really thought hard about whether they were going to come tonight. Because if you see something like how to know if you're growing or settling, you're like, well, damn. Some of y'all women are like, I already know I'm settling. I don't really know if I want to come hear more about how I'm settling. Or I'm scared to say that I'm really settling, or looking back behind you, is my husband over here while I'm looking at this, right? Like there's a lot of anxiety that is even unknown to us when we are involved in this kind of analysis. And so I want to say this. Settling is not about your partner. The notion or the idea that you might be settling doesn't mean it's your partner's fault. That, 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 that. Boom, 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 boom. I just want you to pause for a minute. It doesn't, if you're settling, the automatic assumption oftentimes is that there's something that you're settling for, this relationship, this what your partner is giving and what they're not giving. You may be settling, and you may be settling in such a way that you are not showing up in the way that you need to show up, that you are not giving what you need to give. And the moment that you make the decision to show up and get in alignment with what you're supposed to be doing, you understand what your work is, where you need to give volume to your voice, or you need to quiet it down, or you need to engage fully, or you need to be more flexible, or you need to set a boundary, whatever it is. The moment you do that, then you start attracting alignment and your partner right into where y'all need to be. And so you're settling for your bull shizzle. Oh, y'all quiet. So I just want you to understand, settling is not just about your partner. Settling can look like that, but settling can look like you keep coming with the okey doke. You keep coming with the foolishness. And so we're going to find out tonight, because I have seen too many people, too many women, especially, questioning their relationships, feeling guilty for wanting more, not realizing that they are keeping themselves from the more, that they are the person, they are the one who has the key to unlock the door to more, or looking for permission from, or looking for their husband to come and unlock the door, and he don't even know that a key exists. You understand? Too many people are emotionally disconnected but functioning. Too many people have just stopped voicing their needs. You don't even talk about it anymore. You convinced yourself that this is the best it's going to get. Oh, I know I'm on somebody's street. I know. I know what I know that I know that I know. And so you prioritize peace, fake peace, over honesty. And that is not sustainable. It's not sustainable. Meaning, what do I mean when I say that? It's not going to last. You're not going to be able to stay in that position for a long time. So I talked a little bit about this settling piece, right? This piece around, not truly stepping forward and staying engaged in your relationship and doing the things that you need to do, saying the things that you need to say. I gave you some examples earlier on about what that looks like. And I want you to really I want to ask y'all right now, based on what I have shared so far, if you think that you have been, or at some point, I'm not even going to say you are right now. You either are right now or you were in the past settling. I need you to drop a one in the chat. I want to know who's in the room. It's a safe space. Be honest. You were settling. You are settling. Uh-huh. Oh my goodness, the honesty. This is good. This is good. This is good. Okay. Okay. So I want for everyone who is listening at the sound of my voice to understand that to be in a place of growth, to be in a place of growing, is just simply a decision. It is just simply a decision. We're not going to complicate it. I love. I'm giving so much love and light to all the ones, because it takes a lot of courage and presence to be able to just name it. You cannot fix anything you will not acknowledge. You cannot change anything that you're not able to see with clarity. So just so much respect to each of you who had dropped that you either are or have been in the past settling. So wherever you fall, it only takes a decision. It only requires a decision. Here's the piece that everybody seems to forget, or they just never knew. I don't know. It takes a decision over and over and over and over. Somebody type and over and over and over again. It is not just one decision. It's a decision when you wake up in the morning. I'm not settling. It's a decision when you go to sleep at night. I'm not doing this. It's a decision in the middle of the day. It's a decision over and over and over again. You have to decide over and over again. Anybody forgiving someone that it's taken you a long time to forgive, whether it's your mama, your daddy, your spouse, whomever, right? And you had to finally, realize one day it's just a decision. I just got to decide. It's not a feeling. It's a decision. And sometimes when I get triggered and flash back to some things, I got to decide again. I forgave him. I forgave him and I gave it to God. And so it's the same thing with settling. You can shift from that and you can decide that I'm going to be growing. That's the season I'm in. I am no longer in the settling season. I am in the growth season. And so everything that attaches to me, everything that aligns here is going to be about growth. But you got to be willing to make the decision over and over again. So let's talk a little bit about growth. Let me pull my notes up, and I want you to really think about this in terms of, I'm getting hot, Lord, in terms of what stands out to y'all, okay, in terms of growth, all right, and see where you are with this, okay. So these are some signs that you're actually growing, and I think this is important for you to have a clarity about. The first one is you tell the truth. Somebody type "tell the truth" in the chat. That's the first one. You tell the truth to yourself and to others. You're getting more honest with yourself, with your spouse, but also what you do anywhere is what you do everywhere. So you're doing that in general. I'm not going to just say, I'm fine. How many people know about that? I'm all right. What's wrong with you? I'm fine. No, you're not. So if you're not fine, don't say. If you can't talk about it right now, say, you know what? I'm not in a space to share right now, but I'll come back to you. Tell the truth. That's the first sign. That's the first step. You got to tell the truth because nothing else can grow from a foundation of deceit, from a foundation of dishonesty. And you certainly can't get anywhere and you can't give anybody anything that you do not give yourself. So if you do not give yourself stone cold honesty, you certainly can't give it to your partner. You can be trying and you think you are, but you can't do it because you can't give anybody something that you do not give yourself. The second thing I want to lift up, that you are in a growth space. Not only if you are telling the truth more, which sounds easy, but it is not, because there's a whole lot of ways we be lying. We be leaving out stuff or not speaking and not saying stuff that we need to say. But you're starting to name your needs. You're starting to name your needs, whether you name it for your partner or whether you name it for yourself. I need more affection. I need you to be honest with me. I need you to give me undivided attention when we're talking. I need you to not go off and just walk away when we're talking. Back in the day, in the early days of my marriage, Aiza, I mean, he ain't never been a pop off person. That's just not in his spirit. He's a relaxed dude. But one of the things that he would do, and I didn't know that he would just be getting frustrated or whatever, and also he just didn't like a lot of confrontation. But when we would be having conversations that were difficult, y'all, and I will say that at that stage in my development, my energy probably wasn't, I wouldn't even be like going off or anything, but I could be sharp in my tone and all that kind of stuff. He would all of a sudden, some of y'all have heard me say this before, he would all of a sudden get the inspiration to get up and start walking around and cleaning and like picking up stuff. He just like start picking up the kids' toys and putting them away. I'm like, we in the middle of a conversation. This bama like walking around and like start wiping the table and stuff. It would drive me crazy. Right. So I had to get to the place where that small thing, that seemingly small thing, many of us deal with certain dynamics in our relationships, certain little patterns and certain little things that we don't even know throw us and it irritates us and we don't speak to it. So I had to get to the place where I said, it's really not helpful for me, man. Like, can you not, when we're talking and I'm sharing something with you, can you not get up and like walk around? Because I had just made a habit of just walking around and following him and just still talking. And he would say da 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 da, and then still be doing what he doing, right? And then he was able to, by my modeling, say, okay, I can work on that. But after he sat and was focused on me for a minute and realized how difficult it was to deal with me and some of my energy, he had to name his thing. I need you to soften your energy. I need you to bring it down in terms of your energy. I'm like, I'm not yelling. It's not about your yelling. It's just your energy. Somebody type energy in there. It's your energy. It's your tone. It's like it's kind of rough. It's kind of like you coming in here already, and when he was describing to me, y'all, I act like I know what he's talking about. I know exactly what he's talking about. Like, what do you mean? Anybody do that? Your partner try to tell you something, try to get you together a little bit, and you act like you don't know what they're talking about. Like, well, what did I say exactly? Well, what was it that I said? What was the problem? Because it's not always something you can put your finger on, but it's energy. And so naming your needs, right? This is important at every step of the way in the conversations, in the way that you all deal with one another, in how you navigate each other's personalities. Yeah. This is a sign that you're growing and you might get some pushback. Okay. Yeah, Marvin. Then you give them more energy. What do you mean? What you talking about? You're like that right there. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. And this is one that I really want y'all to take in. If you I really matter of fact, I'm going to have oh no, that's it. I'm gonna give you this one now. This one is so big. Somebody y'all type big in the chat. Big, this is big. Big, 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 big. I need a few bigs. This one is big. And this one right here will let you know, am I in a growth space? Am I growing or am I just settling? Meaning I'm settling for they ish and I'm settling for my foolishness. You know what I mean? Okay, thank you for the bigs. This is big. You in general, right? Like not like you walking around with it all the time, but as it pertains to your relationship, your marriage, whatever it is that you are dealing with, you feel a lot of fear, perhaps, and faith. A lot of fear and a lot of faith. A little bit of fear, maybe, and a little faith. The point is, you feel both of them. And the point that I'm really making is that if you are not feeling anxious in some way, now you might be like, what, Iana? But listen to me. At some point along the journey, you're feeling maybe afraid, uncertain, unsure, skeptical, maybe even, right? You're feeling faith, you're moving forward, you're seeking God for what He has to say to you. And you feel afraid. If you're not feeling both, you're likely not growing. That, 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 down. And why is it that I say that? Because growth requires risk. Growth requires risk. The risk that triggers you or takes you a couple steps back might not be the same risk that triggers your husband or me or the next person and makes them take a couple steps back. The one that be about to make me fall and make me just blow up or feel really, really insecure might be something that you think is nothing. But all of us have our stuff. All of us have our triggers. All of us have these unseen things on the inside, these things we carry from childhood, these patterns that we have developed, these defense mechanisms that we have orchestrated and constructed to keep us safe. And if you don't feel afraid along with the faith as you're moving forward, then you're probably not growing. You got to have both. If your faith life is not intact, if you're not regularly tapping into however you define your faith life, right? Speaking and speaking not only out into the atmosphere, but speaking over yourself, whether it be prayer or meditation or walking in nature, whether it be journaling, whatever it is to tap into your spirit. If your spiritual practices are not pumping and moving, and if you're not, as you're doing that, getting maybe even having some more fear come up that you have to continue to balance it out with the spiritual practice, then you're probably not growing. You're probably comfortable. And I know some of y'all have heard, if you're comfortable, you ain't growing. You're not growing. Growth is not about getting louder and sharing all the things you know. Growth is not about being able to articulate, as I said earlier, this is the steps and this is what it is. Growth is really about getting clearer, clearer, clearer with yourself. And it's about developing the inner fortitude to deal with where we get to demonstrate our growth. It's our relationships. Our relationships give us the opportunity to demonstrate so many things, to demonstrate our faith in God, to demonstrate our trust in ourselves and in the Most High, to be able to demonstrate that we have the capacity to step back and make room for somebody else, even if they do not agree with us. When we continue to hear the same thing over and over again, here's one: you mean, you mean. Back in the day, um, a few of my supervisees in one of my positions when I was back in the 9 to 5 world, I was asking, like, I like prided myself on being like, I don't play and I'm cool. That's what I thought I was. Y'all thought I'm a cool, like what's up? Let me know what's going on, whatever, I got you. But long as you handle your business, I got you, right? We can talk, but don't, you know what I'm saying? I'm not about no foolishness, right? I'm a cool supervisor, but I am your supervisor. I thought, that people could talk to me, right? And I remember talking to one of my supervisees, and it was just like, you just be kind of intimidating, because I was asking, why do you share this with me, what they had going on, that was causing a problem in the workplace. And he said, could you be kind of intimidating? And then I asked another person, they said, yeah. And I did not see myself that way. I want y'all to, I just did not. And I still don't. But what I had to recognize is that my forthrightness and what I thought gave permission to people to also be forthright with me, I said, I will check you, but please check me. That's how I would say. Please check me, because I'm gonna check you. And I'm inviting you for us to have a good co-working relationship. That's what I thought. They're like, that's a bit much. So for some people that works, but for others it doesn't. What kind of partner do you have? Does your way of being work for them? Your partner tell you you mean. The partner tell you you don't think about them. You don't consider them. Are you taking that in? Do you have a partner who, no matter how many times you share with them what you need and where it is that there is a disconnect in how you feel that you're not being considered, all the things they repeatedly, routinely are not attending to that. They act like every time you had a conversation, they act like it's the first time you had the conversation. I know I'm talking to somebody right now. Anybody know what I'm talking about? They act like it's the first time we ever had this conversation. Like, what you talking about? Like, Ninja, we've been talking about this for a minute. I keep bringing it. Like, what are you talking about? Settling, settling, settling. And so some of you have not had clear conversations because you do not have clarity within yourself. You also don't have agency. You cannot grow in love if you are abandoning yourself. You just can't. You have to be able to trust yourself. You have to be able to check yourself if you are starting to go into a place of feeling guilty for something you have no business feeling guilty over. Guilt is not a useful emotion anyway. I just want everybody to know that. That's just a sidebar. To be remorseful, to have regret, but guilt and shame are not useful. They are useless. They just hold us down. So you got to be able to trust yourself. If you don't trust yourself, you'll never be able to get into a place where with authority you can be clear about what kind of relationship you have. What kind of marriage is this? Am I okay with it? Am I asking too much? Am I doing too little? Like, what is it? You'll never be able to know that if you don't trust yourself. You'll look to your partner or look to somebody else before you look to yourself. And so self-trust has to be cultivated. It has to be grown. You have to get grounded in who you are. That's the soil for clarity. That's the soil for clarity, is trusting yourself. Because as soon as you get clear about where you are and what you feel and what your experience is, somebody, be it your husband, your wife, or your friend down the street, going to tell you how that don't even make sense. Oh my goodness, because boom, 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 boom. And you'll be sitting there Like, dang, that do make sense. But this is about you. This is about you. And so there are so many patterns, y'all, that we carry, so many childhood patterns, so many patterns and things that we carry from old relationships, old programming that keep us in a stuck place. They keep us in a place where we are performing in our relationships instead of really loving in our relationships, where we are over functioning in our relationships. A lot of women overfunction because we saw our mothers do it, because it's the culture that shows us that we're supposed to do it, because we think and we have been taught that to sit and pray and rock and stay with me here, because I sit and pray and rock a lot. But to sit and pray and rock and ask for God to help figure it out. Come on, God, heal it and do it. Like that is the secret sauce by itself. But I need you to know tonight, if you don't take anything else away, love is not enough, y'all. Love is not enough. Love is not enough. You have to have faith. You have to have work. You have to have courage. You have to do something different than you've been doing. God meets you. Universal energy meets your action. You know, one of the things that I'm really cognizant of, I've seen this in my life, y'all, in so many ways, but I'll just talk about it in my business. I can get in places and spaces where sometimes I'm just like, oh Lord, like, you know, everything that I do, for those who don't know, my husband do, this is how we make our money. We provide for our children and our family and our lifestyle and everything with this work that we do. And it be hard sometimes. Somebody put it be hard with a it and a B. I need a capital. I didn't need one person to put it be hard. Because it ain't no supervisor I had to go to. And I can say, can you tell me this, and this? I got to figure, I got to really be trusting myself. I need somebody to type it be hard. Don't be leaving me out here with the be. Thank you very much, Jai. Thank you. It be hard. And so I've got to trust myself. I don't have any, you know, I can talk to my husband, I'm like, I don't agree with that. He's like, well, I don't agree with you. We have to kind of collaborate and do all this stuff and figure out how to continue to move forward with our goals, all the things. And anybody who makes entrepreneurship, this is a sidebar, this ain't got nothing to do with what we're talking about tonight, but it does, bear with me. It makes entrepreneurship look sexy and like it can have its perks, and it had, you know, I can do what I want to do when I want to do it. But trust me, when I wanted to get off, I can't get off because it's stuff that got to be done. And if it ain't done, I don't get no check. Okay. And so my point, y'all, is that I've gotten into spaces where I just, oh Lord, I'm the anxiety and oh, I don't know, what am I doing, right? And I'm not trusting myself. I'm not trusting God. I'm just in a place of anxiousness. Transfer this to your relationship, transfer this to any part of your life you can transfer it to. And the one thing that has always, is that a word? Always. The one thing that has always been helpful for me, and I've always 100% of the time seen results in my life, is when I get up off my ass. Bop, 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 boom, 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 boom. When I get up off my ass. What I'm talking about is sometimes I don't even know what to do. I'm like, well, all I know is that the universe responds to my energy. I know that my household responds to my energy. I know that what I put out into the world is what I get back. And so I can't stay down too long. I can't stay broke too long. I'm talking about internally, emotionally, and concretely, physically, when it comes to money. But I gotta put out energy. So you have to do something. Too many people are settling and they don't want to settle. They don't mean to settle, but they're confused and they're not doing it. You have to move. You have to move. You have to say, well, I'm going to sign up for this thing. I'm going to take this class. I'm going to have the conversation. I'm going to journal today. I'm going to push through and do what it is I need to do. And I'm not going to keep talking to him about this. I'm going to talk to God about it. I'm going to get with some like-minded. I'm going to get a counselor for me. I'm going to get a coach for me so that I can get some clarity. You have to do something. And so this sitting still, not because you're seeking a word, but because it's out of being paralyzed, out of fear, out of being comfortable. This right here is the thing that messes everybody up. You got to do something. You got to do something. You don't want to be in a place where you're settling. Move. You're growing if you're moving one way or the other. Even if it ain't the right direction, it can't not be the right direction because God will meet you there and you will learn what you need to learn and you will keep moving on to the next step and the next step. So, spiritual alignment and emotional awareness are so important in this personal work that we have to do. You've got to make space to be with yourself. You've got to, you're like, I don't even know what that means. I don't even know how to do that. So then you need to go into places and spaces in my Transcend program. And I'm actually going to be dropping the link. The next cohort is starting this month. So I'll be dropping the link shortly, which is my elite high level coaching program for women, right? We are talking about not just what we see for our lives and what the women want to do and where God is taking them, but there have to be concrete things that you are doing. And guess what? The moment you say you're going to do it, the moment, that's the moment it gets harder because you have decided a thing. And so whether you I'm talking to you, and you. Whether you say it's the enemy, it's the enemy, whether you're talking about the devil or it's the enemy in you, your negative ego that wants to pull you back and keep you in a safe place because our brains are naturally wired to try to be safe instead of grow. Either way, you got to be willing to make the decisions that you need to make. So I really want you to understand tonight that wherever you find yourself on this evening, wherever you find yourself, you're clear. Oh my goodness, I'm in a struggle space. I'm settling, and I have just got to get out of this. I just don't know how to maintain it. I started, then I stopped, or I've just been in this place for so long. Or if you're in a growth space and you know you are growing and you want to stay on that road, as I mentioned a moment ago, my new cohort is starting this month for my Transcend program. I created this space for women who are tired of just surviving and ready to reconnect with yourself, to know who you are, to be able to not just know who you are just for the sake of knowing who you are, but to be able to connect into what that means about why you're on the planet and what your purpose is and what you need to overcome in your relationships and your psychology, what your patterns are and what the programming is, so that if anybody was to ask you who you used to be, you could tell them clearly. And then you could say, but this is who I am now because I have transcended. And so that is the Transcend program. It's a 90-day coaching program for the woman who's ready to reclaim herself, to become her most healed, elevated, and rooted self. And we focus on spiritual grounding, practical tools, accountability, emotional healing. And this is for the person who doesn't just want peace of mind and clarity. This is important, but you also want connection with yourself, in your relationships, in your purpose. And you understand that it starts with you. So there is a mixture of coaching with myself, different activities that we do, group coaching coming together. And there is more that I can share with you, but I'm going to drop that in the chat. I want to do that now before I be done, forgot. And I want to open up the space and see, does anybody have any reflections? I want to do that tonight. Any reflections or questions just about what I've shared, or any thoughts, anything that really stood out, or perhaps you have a situation. And if you have a situation and you want some feedback, I'm going to do that for just a few minutes. And you can certainly direct message me as well. So you can raise your virtual hand. I'm dropping the link now for the application for the Transcend program. And it is an application. because I want to make sure that you're a good fit, and we go through a process to see if you're a good fit. So, and if I'm a good fit for you, right? Because it's a two-way street. So any questions, any thoughts tonight about this whole piece around understanding this work that needs to be done? Star said gave me a lot to think about and put in perspective. There's a whole lot of work to be done, and it really starts with ourselves. We oftentimes are running in circles. We're running in circles, and um, we just don't know how to break free. Okay, so this person sent me a direct message, and essentially my answer is going to be similar to what I was in the middle of saying. But they essentially said, "What do you do when your husband is in no way interested in growing?" And so, first of all, I think that's a pretty major assertion to make, that he ain't no way interested in growing. Unless he told you, like, I ain't trying to grow, I want to stay stuck. Which most people don't say that. You know what I'm saying? So unless he said that, I think sometimes we put those labels on our partners because of how they're showing up and because of the way in which that feels to us, because he could say the same thing about you per se, right? Like, we don't know. So I just want you to be mindful of that, and anything that you're assigning to him and his actions or lack of actions. Um, but here's the piece. You know your partner for sure best and better than me. Of obviously, I know this person, but you know your partner better than anybody. But I just want to say this. It's two answers. Oftentimes, what we say is focus on you. Do the work that you need to do so that you then are able to look at yourself, look at the ways in which you may be interacting with your partner, dealing with certain things, and you don't recognize that you are creating a funky ass situation, and that you are not just settling and dealing with their stuff. They're dealing with your stuff because you're not changing, you're not shifting. Now, that is a part of the answer. But this tonight is also for a particular woman. And I'm not saying it's you who asked the question, but am I saying it's not? And I'm saying this to whomever this really hits for. If it really hits for you, you need to fill out that application. Some of y'all, you know you've been dealing with some bullshit for a long time. You know that like I'm trying because your spirit won't let you give up. You don't want to give up and you're not ready to leave. So you just kind of keep going. But you know that you've been walking down the same dusty ass road for a long time. And you don't really have the wherewithal, the understanding, the know-how. It's just overwhelming to think about what change would look like. You can't even conceptualize it. The first thing many people think about is like, so I mean, I'm about to leave. Like, maybe not. That's not necessarily the answer. Oftentimes it's not the answer. But I really encourage you. If you are that person, you know you've been in a space and you just in a cycle. You've been putting in that work, but you still sitting here dealing with the same stuff. In terms of even how you feel, your emotions, your overwhelm, how you're processing that and taking it in, but also in terms of your partner. When you're in that situation, you must take action. You have to move. That was the big one I said tonight. Move your ass. Do something. Don't get off of this tonight and just be like, well, that was good. That made me think about some things. And then turn on Netflix and go back to business as usual. Don't do that. Don't do that. You have to avail yourself to other people, other places, other spaces, other environments that will disrupt your autopilot patterns. Your autopilot patterns, because these are things that happen for all of us, me included. I can intellectually know something. I will go and watch a whole sermon on something, then look at a YouTube video on the psychology of the same thing, then pray about it, and then still feel like boo-boo at the end of the day. Because I'm like, I'm still dealing with this. I don't want to be dealing with this. Like you have to shore yourself up. You got to get in proximity That's why I have a coach. That's why I have mentors. That's why I have people that will help me to understand, okay, I know you're overwhelmed. Ignore that and do this. Do this. That's what I need you to do between now and the next time I talk to you so that we can keep moving. All right? We can keep moving. So I want you all to just be mindful of that, because in so many ways we go back to the same old, same old. Um, uh, John said, I see that I still have more work to do on me, even though I'm growing. That's good. That's good. The insight is good. So everybody, I appreciate you coming out tonight and listening, and being a part of this conversation. I want you to know that if you were here, it was not on accident, whether it was a reminder of where you're not going back to, or whether it was like, man, don't don't continue this. You really got to get out of this space and you got to move. You got to do something. And we have to do the biggest and best thing we can do for ourselves. You're so welcome. The biggest and best thing you can do for yourself when you just don't know how you can do it. How can I see a little bit of light, but I don't know how it's going to all come together. Surrender. Surrender. Before we close tonight, type surrender in the chat. Surrender, surrender, surrender. Thank you. Thank you, God. Surrender. Say, God, you put me in this place tonight. You helped me to be able to make space and make room for it. You gave me something. Iana was just a vessel, and you're saying something to me. You're pulling right now. For some of you, you don't even know what it is, but you feel a little full. You might even want to cry a little bit. When we get off of here, just write and see what comes forward, and just say, I surrender. I don't have to be in control. I don't have to figure it all out. Thank you, God. I ain't got to have it all together. Isn't that a beautiful thing? How sweet that is to not have to have it all together. I can just surrender and look for the next step, just the next step. So that is your homework. Make sure you know your next step. You are so welcome. You are so welcome. All right. Make sure you know your next step. You don't know it, fill out that application and we'll have a consultation, and I'll share more. All right, everybody. Be easy, be peaceful, and I'll see you on the next situation. Bye, y'all. You're welcome. Bye, everybody.